this is my review of the Seachem Stability right here. Get it to focus here real quick. Show you all of the information on it as well. You can pause this and read all of it if you want. So overall, I like it. It worked. But first of all, before I really get into it, basically it's a product. Seachem Stability is a product that you can add to your aquarium to help it cycle faster, as well as use it to keep the population of beneficial bacteria up in your aquarium when you do a water change. So when you do a water change, when you add it in, just add a couple drops, at least for this tank, just add a couple drops of Seachem Stability. Help it out a little bit. Honestly, I don't really know what it does when you do that, because beneficial bacteria are usually in the rock, not in the water column, so not exactly sure on that part. Haven't really been using it when I do a water change, but I definitely used it when I was cycling my tank and definitely sped up the process of that. So when you use something like this in a fishless cycle, like I did, you have to phantom feed. Basically, that's just feeding the tank, letting the food break down, start producing ammonia, and then the bacteria placed in the tank, aka the Seachem Stability that I used, can start feeding on the ammonia, breaking it down into nitrite, and then eventually into nitrate, where you can then remove it by doing water changes. After the cycle, you can add different types of algae like chlorpa or chaetomorpha, and that'll also help take the nitrates out of the tank. But if you're regularly feeding the tank or overfeeding, you're definitely going to want to use water changes. I know there's the Triton method. I don't use that, and so I don't really know much about that. And then, so the process by which bacteria breaks down nutrients is called the nitrogen cycle. Putting it simply, fish eat, then the fish poops, and the poop breaks down into ammonia. And then the bacteria eats the ammonia, and so on, as I described earlier. When you start to get nitrates, plants and algae will start to feed off of it, and this is why having an excess of nitrate in your aquarium can cause a crash or to have a huge algae bloom. When the algae starts to feed off the nitrates, there will start to be little crustaceans called copepods or amphipods, and those feed off of algae, but not enough to get rid of your algae or keep it in check. Then you can have fish that eat copepods. For example, the most common one that we hear about in the saltwater hobby is the mandarin. And they're very picky eaters, usually only eat copepods, and that's why you have to have a mature tank in the house or to house mandarins, otherwise they'll just usually die from starvation. In rare cases or over time, you may be able to get them to eat prepared foods, but that's unlikely. And then at the beginning of the tank, when you start your tank will go through this process where the bacteria aren't at sufficient populations to keep the amount of ammonia and nitrite down. This is when your tank is cycling. This can normally take about a month or two. However, when I use Seachem Stability, the process took just about 2 weeks. The only way to know what stage of cycling your tank is in is to test. I use the API test kits for this, and then by testing after a few days of adding Seachem Stability and phantom feeding, your ammonia will spike. And then after a few more days, your nitrite will spike, and then your nitrate. When your nitrate starts to increase, I wait until it's about 30 to 40 parts per million and then do a 50% water change. This brings the nitrate levels way down. Then I watch it for a few more days until it is not really increasing anymore and do another water change. At this point, it'll be at low enough levels to where you can start adding fish and coral. I added mine about 5 parts per million, and happy to say, as you can see, everything is doing perfectly good, just fine. Crabs are doing well, fish are doing well. Can't see them in there, they're hiding. I don't know why. Shrimp is pretty camera shy and shy in general. First few days I had him in there, he came out, ate with everyone else, but the past few days he's just kind of been hiding in the back. Don't know why. All my levels are in check. Calcium, magnesium. Not that that really applies to the shrimp, but everything's in check, so I don't know why he's hiding. But other than that, everything's doing very well up to this day, and it's been about 1.5 months since it's been up and running. Seachem Stability also advertises being able to add fish right away, but I personally wouldn't recommend that because there's no reason to put a fish under that much stress where it's being moved from one tank to another, so like the fish store to your tank, and then going through a cycle in which the nutrient levels are potentially deadly, because you're going to have a spike of ammonia which is deadly to fish and coral and invertebrates, basically anything in the tank, along with very high levels of nitrite. And then even if it's just a short amount of time, that could potentially kill the fish, or just put it, in the case of Seachem Stability, since it is such a short amount of time, it's just going to put a lot of stress on the fish. And just wait the couple weeks it takes to cycle the tank and you'll have a lot happier fish. So yeah, and then here is a video of how small the copepods actually are. As you can see, really small, and it's literally the not even wide enough, or as big enough to cover the diameter of the tip of a paper clip. And as you can see, when I put it up to a penny and a dime, the tip of the paper clip isn't even as wide as the 7 on the penny in the date. Anyway, overall, I like Seachem Stability. Cycled my tank really fast. I was able to put in fish and coral right after it cycled, and everything is doing great. So I would definitely recommend Seachem Stability for your tank if you are cycling. It worked for me. Every tank is different. It can take longer for your tank, it could take shorter. It just kind of depends on your tank, really. Anyway, that's my review. Thank you guys for watching. Subscribe, comment. See you guys next Sunday.